Grain hopper rail cars have those circular seals on the top of them, and they are not for giraffe necks like I originally thought. Let's talk about that and more fun grain hopper facts while I sketch this little box. So let's just turn the page and get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on it's Thursday. Hey everybody, it's Thursday morning. I love Thursday mornings. Thursday mornings, a couple of things happen on Thursday mornings. Thursday mornings is when I like to grab a random object from the Random Object Randomizer and draw it and talk about it. Random toy for the toy box, and talk about it. And then on top of that, we have our show tonight to prepare for. So Thursdays are especially fun for me. But right now, we are going to draw, because I pulled from the Random Object Randomizer, a grain hopper rail car. Now, it feels like I've done one of these recently. It's because there's not much difference in shape between rail cars. So the rail car that I did the other day was a box car, and today I'm doing a grain hopper, and it's still just basically a rectangle with wheels. And that's okay, because it's all about daily practice, drawing what I see and talking about it. Especially if I get to visit with my mom. She's the angelic voice you hear coming over my phone. She manages the chat, lets me know if anything in the chat room needs attention, or if I need to change cameras, or if I fail to turn a light on, or the microphone's not working. She basically runs production. I'm eternally grateful for that.
Hopefully I'm paying attention.
Hopefully she's paying attention. Sometimes she gets caught up in the drawing. Sometimes she gets caught up in the chat. And that's okay. And that's okay. And then tonight, we'll have an art session where I basically just draw what I want to draw, paint what I want to paint, and talk about whatever. But during the morning sessions, I'm going to talk about what I'm drawing. And today I'm drawing a grain hopper. Now, grain hoppers originally were designed in the 1830s as a means to get grain from the farm to the market, and it's a very cool design, actually, where they have several compartments inside, and they have slanted floors, and they have grain drains, if you will, on the floor. And then on the top, they have these circular seals, and the circular seals are airtight, air and water tight, so that the moisture doesn't get in to affect the grain. So they can haul sugar and gunpowder and cement with no problems. When I saw it the first time, I immediately thought of the cartoons from the 60s and 70s that showed like Barnum and Bailey moving between towns, and isn't it Dumbo, where the giraffe heads are sticking up out of the
Yes.
the giraffe heads are sticking up out of the top of the cargo car, and I thought that's what this was. That's where my first thought went.
Hit the Pamela button.
Hit the Pamela button. Woo! It's the Rick and Pamela button. I hope you guys stay together because your button has you tied together. If you guys get a divorce, I'm going to have to get more buttons. Anyway, so the inside of this thing is divided up into two or six compartments, and the point is to be able to carry grain to market. And it was designed in the 1830s, but it didn't become popular in use until it didn't come into popular use until after World War II. So almost 100 years. The design was out there, but it was almost 100 years before they actually started using it.
I wonder how much grain they leak.
I don't think they leak very much grain, but you do see wheat and soy and stuff like that growing by the side of the rail tracks. So I don't know, but I can't imagine they leak very much. They're extremely efficient for what they do. They carry the cars carry about 100 tons of grain. But I know there has to be some leakage, because you do see soy and stuff like that growing by the railroad tracks where there's no soy planted.
Yeah, it feed critters.
Yeah. Got to keep them critters fed.
Rick's in the woodworking shed this morning.
Cool.
You gotta beat the heat.
That sounds like fun. What's he working on? An end table that turns into a table for a rocking horse or something?
TV table.
TV table. I knew it was something magical. Does he need to borrow my joiner? There was a fire. I don't have that anymore. In the 1960s, Southern Railway came up with a design to make the car out of aluminum instead of steel, and it allowed them to jump up from 50 tons to 100 tons of cargo, and it changed the price from over $10 a ton for freight to under $4 a ton of freight, or around $4 a ton of freight rather. And it caused a lot of turmoil because of the regulated market. The trains have to use the tracks leased from the government, and the river barges are confined by the limits of the river and the boats. And then the trucking industry really hadn't made the explosive advancements that they've made in the last few years. And so everybody expected the government to keep the trains locked in at the $10 rate. especially all of the trains together expected the other trains to maintain the $10 rate. The train companies expected a certain amount of collusion, but the other freight industries also got involved because they said it's not fair that the government dedicate a specific way for them to travel, a specific route guaranteed to them, and allow them to innovate and make that cheaper. And the Supreme Court finally got involved. I mean, this is a case, it didn't go before the Supreme Court once, it went before the Supreme Court several times. And finally, it was decided that train companies, of course, should be allowed to innovate and find better and cheaper ways to transport materials. And so, after the win, the first major car they had was a Big John. It would carry 100 tons. After the win, they doubled down, made an even bigger car that carried 130 tons. That's almost 6 semi trucks. 130 tons is almost 6 semi trucks. To put that in perspective, the amount of grain that they can carry, the amount of weight that they can carry. Almost.
Wow.
You keep in mind, though, that this train may have 110 grain cars on a dedicated route with no interruptions. And you can see how the trucking company would be offended at the level of competition that they're having to deal with.
Emma says their dog is upset. She likes to lay between them in the morning while they are along with you. She's outside her dog door barking for us to join her. Miss Pug to the vet yesterday.
How'd that work out? Uh-oh.
Well, she had one test and we have to wait for the results to come back. But, fleas are an expensive little animal.
Yes. Yes, they are.
But we have a year's worth of trifecta.
Oh, cool.
Oh, hey. Good thing we, didn't have to sell our firstborn.
I'm not for sale. Well, I mean, I am, but I try to sell Zach all the time. My oldest son is going to be 36 this year.
Yes.
And somebody offer me something, I'll say, well, I'll give you my firstborn son for it. You'll have to fight his wife for him, but because I'm not interested in keeping my firstborn son, it's because I know they'll give him back.
He's a pretty good guy.
He's a pretty good guy, but he's a big guy. It's going to be expensive to feed. He's 6'4". He's going to be expensive to feed. That was always the joke.
Give him your baby.
I could, but I don't think that's going to be any cheaper to feed. I don't think that's going to be any cheaper.
He reaches the top of the door jamb, the bottom of the door jamb, and he goes through it.
Yeah, he hits his head walking through the door. He and my oldest son both hit their head going through the door. That's not a problem I've ever had in my life. obviously. So they started making them out of aluminum, which is what caused the problem. They switched from aluminum to steel.
Is the steel heavier?
Oh yeah, the steel is way heavier than aluminum. That's what it was. They didn't improve the design. They improved the materials that it was made out of.
Wouldn't that cut down on the amount of grain they can put in a car?
No, it almost doubled the amount of grain they could put in a car. They started making them out of aluminum, and the car became so much lighter that it almost doubled the amount of grain they could carry.
Right. I mean, you said they went from aluminum to steel.
They started making them out of aluminum, I said.
Oh, okay. I heard it back.
I may have said it backwards. I'm old. Old people say crazy stuff, especially in the mornings. But no, they started making them. They started making them out of aluminum. They had been making them out of steel for years, and they started making them out of aluminum. And that's what caused the controversy. Is how dare you innovate?
Your dad said he takes after my side of the family.
Who takes after his side of the family?
I think the grandsons.
He
I don't know.
takes after your side of the family?
His side.
Because they eat?
Clarification, please.
Or because they're ornery?
Ah, there you go. That's a whole different deal. That's an entirely different subject here.
I know I take after my grandfather when it comes to orneriness. I don't know. I can feel my iris sparkle in my eyes. There are times when I do something that I know nobody's really going to catch for a while, and I can feel in my eyes, I can feel my face take the shape of my dad laughing.
Challenge to live with you both.
Subtle hint. Dad says that he takes after Dad's side of the family.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Me or the boys? All right, let me dry this real quick and we'll come back with some color. Oh, goodness gracious. That scared me. I got my grain bin seals out of whack over here. They're not in perspective. Right where they should be. So I'm going to try and make an adjustment on the fly. Well, on the train anyway. But let's do some color now. A little vermilion. The bulk of the cars. And orangey color.
Being able to change things on the fly like that are only learned in art.
That's right. That's why we teach art in school. People think we teach art in school to give kids a break from classroom training and stuff like that. That's not why we teach art in school. We don't teach people math in school because we expect them to be world-renowned astrophysicists. We don't teach people science because we expect everybody to be research scientists and doctors. We teach math to teach people how to logically work through a problem. We teach science to teach people how to observe and adjust their problem solving skills, observe the reaction, and adjust their problem solving skills. That's the reasons we teach those classes. It's not because we expect you to grow up to be a mathematician and figure out pi to the nth decimal. It's not because we expect you to grow up and cure cancer, though that would be nice. It's specifically to teach kids how to solve problems in a logical, directed way. But art teaches kids how to solve problems on the fly when you don't have time to set up a specific solution. What do? Your paint spilled. You've got to react right now. What do? You've put a mark on your page right now that you didn't intend to put. What do you do? How do you fix it right now? And you've got to fix it right now because the paint's going to dry, and then you can't fix it. How do you lift it back off? Are you going to lift it back off? Are you going to somehow incorporate it into your work? What are you going to do? What can you do? How can you solve this problem right now on the fly? And that is art. That is a skill that can be learned through art, but you have to practice it. And so that is why we teach it to children. And when we take it out of our school system, we deprive our children of the opportunity to learn how to do that. And then we throw them out in the world and can't figure out why they don't know how to make change. We throw them out in the world, and we can't figure out why they don't know why they can't figure out how many pieces of fish come on a 3-piece fish dinner. Simple things that they ought to be able to figure out rapidly. Simple things that they should be able to reason, but they can't reason because they don't know how to. Because we don't teach them that anymore. We just teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic. Let me dry this real quick, and we'll ink it. I don't know yet. Pamela's in the chat. Yesterday, my car broke down on my way home from work, and I posted about it on Facebook. Pamela's asking about it in the chat, and I don't know what's wrong with it yet. I suspect it's going to be something foolish like the fuel pump fuse. The way it happened suggests that it is something as simple as that, because I was traveling, I was moving through traffic, and a message came on that said something about my auto start stop, and I didn't even get a chance to read it, and it went away, and the car died, and I was in traffic. And so luckily I was at a time of day when traffic wasn't at its peak, and I was able to get out and push my car into the approach of the nearest intersection. And get out of the way of the rest of the traffic. Put my hood up, put my flashers on, called a tow truck. I suspect it's going to be something simple like the fuse to the fuel pump, because it's happened to me before. 20 years ago, I was driving a 1-ton pickup hauling feed from my grandfather's feed store, and that happened to me before, and I was trapped out on the road for a while a guy came out to assess my situation. And I'm really hoping that's all it is, because fuse is way cheaper than any of the other scenarios I can come up with in my mind. But everybody's worried about me because all my family was worried about me because, I'm an old man pushing a car in traffic. feel like an old man. I felt pretty accomplished. I hope everybody watching was like, wow, look at that old man pushing that car. Did we talk about everything we wanted to talk about? When these trains come in, the depot with the grain elevator, especially in the smaller towns like my hometown of Chickasha, will block out an entire day because there'll be 110 cars with 2,000 tons of grain that they have to deal with. It takes a while. It can take over an entire area of the city, so the ambulances have to go around the train. It can be a bad thing. What is today? Today is the 30th of July. So there is my version of it compared to the photograph. Let's see what it looks like from my perspective. I probably could have come back with some more blue. Let's see. I probably could color match that a little better with some blue. There it is from my perspective. So that's what I did today. Tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow? I honestly have no idea, and my eggs got mixed up because my gesso fell down onto my tray of eggs. So who knows what this is? This could be anything. Let's just see. Ooh, the suspense. Oh! Okay, now we have done this one before. It's been a while, though. It's been a little while. We got us a peg leg pirate. I've actually done him a couple of times now. Once in pencil and once in watercolor. But it's been over a year since we've done him, so we'll talk about the history of prosthetic legs. We'll talk about the likelihood of there being a peg leg pirate like this versus the fantasy of Long John Silver. We'll talk about all kinds of fun stuff about piracy and stuff while I sketch this little bad dude tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. Texas time. So you are going to want to set your notification bell so you don't miss that. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. I do look forward to this every day. It is my favorite time of the day when I get to art with my besties. I truly run down the stairs so I can be down here every day. It holds me accountable to my art practice and is often the only art I get to do. And hopefully it has inspired you to be creative for at least 20 minutes a day also. Pamela, thank you for joining me so much. Give Rick my love. Mom, Dad, thank you so much for your help this morning. I really do appreciate it. Guys, be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing. Because when they see me dancing, I will know that the lag has caught up to the stream and I won't have to be worried about being cut off mid-sentence. It gives everybody a chance to click the clicky thingy so that you can watch another fantastic video just like this. And it gives everybody a chance to say hello and goodbye to each other. What's going on in the chat? I have decided not to decide, but I'm starting. Oh, Pamela's talking about what she's going to do tomorrow. Tonight, we're going to do a cat. We haven't done a cat in the studio in a very long time, so tonight we're going to draw a cat. If you show up tonight, if you'd like to be a part of what's on your easel tonight, send an email to blade@artisticbiker.com with the subject line easel, and we'll use your works to inspire other people. If you'd like a critique, put the word critique in the subject line, and we'll let the crowd critique you. But right now, I think we're gonna wind this up because people in the chat see me dancing. Of course, I'm having a good time dancing today. You know, here I am just dancing along. Where's Claudia when you're having a good time dancing? Woo! All right, But the most important thing about this is that